You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit, and after 22 dates across the United States and Canada, Night Demon has hit the end of the God Machine tour, opening for Blind Guardian. Today, we wrap it up with the final dates on this tour. This is Night Demon on the road.
The following show was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, so we were headed kind of, southwest from New York. And we knew that between New York City and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, smack dab in the middle of that drive is the area where our former drummer, Dusty Squires, lives and now has, his life set up. He's back to a kind of normal existence, exactly what he wanted. He's not part of the traveling roadshow gypsy carnival that is Night Demon.
Pennsylvania. We have a lot of history there, and most of it has to do with good old Dusty Squires, former drummer extraordinaire, New Liberty, and Night Demon, of course.
And we decided, man, it'd be great on a day off to go see him and to go hang out.
So we had reached out to him and said, hey, man, we're going to be in your hood, and we have a day off. What's up? Let's get together. I hadn't seen him since we parted ways. The last show that we played together was the Metal Hammer Paradise, where we gave him a nice send-off party and just had a really, really good time together and did it proper. We threw him a really good party, got him a cake and all that stuff. So regardless to say, we hadn't seen him, at least I hadn't seen him since then. I don't know if anybody else had either. I don't think Jarvis had either. So he agreed, to meet up and get some food. So we decided to stay in a hotel that was close to where he was working, which was, 20 or 30 minutes away from where he lives. So we did that. We went there that night, checked in, got some sleep, got up in the morning, and hit up the boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Dusty Squires.
And we stayed in the hotel, and he ended up coming over the following day on that day off after he got off work. And it was great to see him. We all went for a bite to eat. It was just good to catch up with him and face to face. We've kept in contact over the phone and stuff, but it was nice to just hang out and see him. He had cut off all his hair. That's that was kind of I had known that had happened, but just see it in person, I was like, wow, man, that is really kind of a shock because I had never known him. I'd seen pictures before when he was younger, but I'd never really known him without having the long mane of hair.
I remember walking out into the lobby and seeing this dude with short hair and a neon green shirt. And I said, man, it's got to be him. And sure enough, that was him. No more long hair. So anyway, we met up there, and it was like hugs and all that, and it kind of a little catch up until everybody else was ready to go. I was the first one out there, so we spent some time talking about, everything and just catching up on life. It's been a while. And he was doing good. He was really happy in his life, and had told us that he hadn't played drums at all since he hasn't been in the band, which has been since November of 2022, and told us about, he's engaged to get married, and he's a supervisor for a construction company, and he just seems happy. He's there with his family, he's there with his people, he's in the place that he grew up, and his life is content. But it was good to catch up with him. We found some kind of brewery place downtown. We were in Bethlehem, PA, that's what it was. And there was a brewery down there, and it was a cool old kind of downtown area, big college town, I guess. And so I think it was like a Tuesday or a Monday or something like that. So there wasn't much going on, but that worked out just fine for us. Armand, Jameson, and Joao went out with him throughout the night, and they had some beers and some good times. And myself and Brian just went back to the hotel. I had a bunch of work to do, and Brian likes to sleep. So after lunch there, we continued on, found some little local bars, and just hung out, man, and had a really good time. It was pretty cool for J2 because he had never, he got the real experience of the working man's blue collar kind of town, little bars. The beers were like $2 each or something like that. And it was just, everybody's watching freaking football or baseball on the screen. And, we ended up, spending a good 3-4 hours together with Dusty and just drinking beers. And he got a little loopy, and he had there were some memorable quotes that I won't repeat here on the live podcast. So, but it was good. It was really nice to see him and catch up. And, I just like the fact that, when you split with band members sometimes, or you get a divorce or whatever, oftentimes it's not all sunshine and roses. But it's cool that we're able to remain friends, and there's no hard feelings and no bad blood. And that's really the way that life should be. So we're blessed to have that. But we ended up, the three of us, myself, Jameson, and J2, continued on to the next neighborhood pub/bar. And this place was the real deal. This was definitely a local place, locals only. You could smoke inside, which is very rare nowadays. So it kind of tells you what kind of place we were in. But really, the beers were really cheap. And again, it was baseball on TV. And it was just a good old American night of hanging out with the boys. So next day, getting into the venue, Harrisburg, I think it was maybe under an hour drive or something like that. So it was a very relaxed couple of days, which was nice, after the whirlwind of getting into Canada and doing all that shit and getting out and everything. So following show was Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the capital of the state. We had played there once before, a long time ago. I want to say it was on the Curse of the Damned headlining tour. Played some kind of community center. And this time we were obviously playing a bigger venue. Brian had been there before. He had played there with Yngwie. Really cool place, really old place. And everybody was super cool there. Nice little kind of old town vibe.
The next venue in Harrisburg, in a way, it couldn't have been more different from the Palladium in New York. It was in an arts center, very, very laid back, and super cool people, really cool environment.
So the venue was pretty interesting. Probably one of the most unconventional venues of the tour, just because the outside of it just basically looked like a big house. That's basically what it was. But there was a big freaking venue on the top floor. Not really sure what this place was before, but you could tell it had some history. And, they had a cool, downstairs bar / they made pizza there. They made a lot of fresh food, pizzas and stuff like that, and had some pinball machines.
The downstairs was like a big bar area. They had awesome old school pinball machines. They had like outsider art on the walls. And the venue staff were really lovely. They served me the hands down best veggie burger that I've ever eaten in my life. So that was great.
But it was a really mellow thing during the day. We warmed up with some Black Sabbath covers, and the Blind Guardian guys were pretty amused by that. You know, we were just doing that at sound check. Before the show, me and Armand were backstage. It was a pretty old building, and there's like the dressing room was not backstage. So backstage was like this small old corridor. It's just a hallway behind the stage, and me and Armand were kind of tuning our guitars, and all of a sudden we see this huge bat just fly through the room from down the other side and fly right past us, and we're like ducking, like, oh my God.
Yeah, and then somebody yells, hey, look out. And I'm like, I couldn't really tell what he was saying, but basically he was saying, hey, there's a fucking bat behind you. And then the next thing I know, I felt this little thing like swoop by my head, and I ducked like a ninja, man. I never moved that fast in my life.
You know, it's kind of funny because like bats, they're not, you know, we're programmed just kind of like how with Jaws we're programmed like ever since anybody's ever seen that movie, they're afraid to go in the water because the killer shark's just going to eat them. But bats especially, you know, I don't know if it's from vampire movies or whatever, but you know, bats do not prey on humans. You know, Ozzy got rabies from a bat because he bit the bat's head off, not because the bat sunk its fangs into his neck or anything like that. But it's still just jarring, and we were like, oh my God, you know, like some feral bat. So we ended up going out. It flew through the hallway and then out into the venue, and we went and looked from the side of the stage before we went on, and the bat's just flying around the venue, and it's a packed house, and everybody's like, holy shit. But it was pretty cool to see. You know, we love stuff like that.
But I don't know, he's a good old rock and roll bat, and I think he survived, and everything was good.
But this was an awesome show. Really, really good vibe. You know, I really love playing, you know, out of the A markets. As cool as it is to play New York City, Times Square, it's cool to play a place like Harrisburg where not a lot of bands go to. They were just fucking pumped on this show. One thing happened here during the show that I'm proud of and equally embarrassed of, but my bass, I don't know what happened. I had a malfunction, a technical difficulty. So we went back and I changed guitars during the Welcome to the Night intro. That's when we changed from the white guitars to the black guitars. I went out to start the song after the intro and no sound out of my bass. So I'm running back, trying to figure out what's going on. What is it, my guitar, my amp? Jameson's trying to help me, but Jameson's already in the Rocky costume. He's getting ready because the Chalice is coming up. So he can't just put that on when the song starts. He's got to start getting it on before then. So he's really not around to monitor me and see what's going on. Anyway, the song keeps going. One thing in Night Demon, we really don't like to stop a song if we don't absolutely have to. So it's just drums and guitar. So I'm trying to figure this out. It's time for the first verse. I go up and sing the first verse. There's no bass, but I'm kind of just playing it, and I'm messing around with the jack while I'm singing, and the audience knows something's going on. They don't hear any bass. They see me messing around with it, but they see me singing, and Armand and Brian are still rocking out and playing the song. We get through the first verse, first chorus. When it comes time for the short part, instrumental part before the second verse, I'm still messing around, walking back. I run back up right in time for the second verse, still no bass, but I'm singing it. Go into the chorus, blah, 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 doing that. Eventually, I just decide, fuck the wireless. I'm going to grab a cable. Jameson knows what's going on. He's coming out in the Rocky robe, doesn't have the mask on yet, hands me a cable, plugs it into my pedal board. I plug it straight into my guitar. My bass comes on right in time after the guitar break to start the guitar solo. So it was pretty cool, and it was definitely eventful and something to be remembered. It started to totally piss down rain during loadout, which sucked because all of our shit got wet. But we were just on such a high. It was a great night. And it's like when technical difficulties like that happen, you know, a lot of times people get super frustrated and it ruins your show. It's definitely happened to me before. But for some reason, this kind of made it more eventful. And the fact that we didn't stop the song and recovered the way we did made it definitely like one of the more memorable shows of the tour. Subscribers can see that video in the subscriber section. We have audio of it too, obviously. But it was a really great show. It was a really great night.
At one point during the set, the house lights came on. I think it was during the Howlin' Man, which fucking sucked because, you know, of course, like, so I didn't control the house lights. They weren't, you know, on my board or anything. But so I don't know, did someone lean up against a wall switch or what happened? But yeah, basically, like, the overhead lights came on over the crowd and everybody kind of glared up at me. So I was like throwing my hands up like, it's not my fault. But it was just, it was a really nice night. It was really a lot of the warm and fuzzies that night. Sean and I, the Blind Guardian merch guy, I remember just a lot of hugs that night and a lot of reminiscing because we were definitely feeling the end of the tour approaching, you know, so we were just, you know, all ready for it to be over in a sense, you know, because it's tiring and it's intense and all that, but equally it had been such a fun tour that we were really sad to feel the end creeping up. And yeah, Harrisburg just had a lot of nice people too. There was a Night Demon fan, Eric, who came up to the table and yeah, Eric, if you're listening, it was so great to meet you. You were telling me about Outsider helping you through a really difficult time, through like a period of grief. And, you know, that the music and the lyrics really helped you. And it was just so lovely to hear that. And, you know, it just reminds you of just how important music is and how important what Night Demon are doing is, you know, and how it really, really matters to people in difficult moments. So that was so nice to hear.
So after Harrisburg, we got to our hotel. You know, we stay at these Hilton or Hampton Inns because we have a friends and family discount, and they're pretty nice. They kind of, you know what you're going to get, and it's a bit of a Groundhog Day thing, but it's nice to go to a familiar place where you know the bed's going to feel good and you know what they're going to serve for breakfast and all this. This one was a little ghetto and a little run down. You could just tell by the clientele, like, something's going on here. Anyway, the next morning I woke up because I could hear the maid staff, which was actually like mainly men, which is strange because I'm just not used to that. It's mainly women who have those jobs. And I'm not stereotyping here. I mean, it's just a fact. You know, I've stayed in enough hotels to know that. But these guys were just bitching about their job, and they were like just complaining about everything and everybody they worked with. And they were so fucking loud, and I just couldn't sleep. And they were just, it felt like they were just cleaning the same room for hours because they were just right outside the door doing that. Anyway, I took a shower, and I decided to turn on the water really hot. And then, like, my phone rang. I got a call. I left the bathroom door open. Anyway, the steam from the shower was just billowing out of the bathroom. And the smoke alarm was right outside the door, and it set off the smoke alarm. So I finally got to meet these guys that were complaining about their job all day because they kind of, like, knocked on the door, like, what's going on? Is there a fire? And I told them, no, sorry, this is what happened. And they're like, goddamn fucking shitty-ass smoke alarm, shitty-ass shower in this fucking place. It was kind of funny. We had a day off that day, and we decided to head into Cleveland early. So we got into Cleveland, one of Night Demon's second homes, and this was officially the last show of the Blind Guardian Night Demon tour. It was great to end it in a place like Cleveland.
So in the morning, Jarvis and I have become really good friends with the proprietor of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, who's Stephen Intermill. Amazing guy and phenomenal museum. If you're ever in Cleveland, you absolutely have to check this place out. If you have even a passing interest in magic, the occult, witchcraft, all of that stuff, it's the coolest place, and hands down, it's like my favorite thing to do in Cleveland. We got up a bit early and headed down there, and Stephen gave us his awesome tour. The artifacts that he has in there are just the coolest, and we're always really, really happy to be able to stop there. Because we had the van with us and all the gear, we thought, well, fuck it, we got to get Rocky in here too. So we ran out, we grabbed Rocky's case, and we wheeled him in there and got him dressed. And Stephen put on some red ceremonial robes, and so we got some great pictures of Rocky and Stephen hanging out there being all creepy. It's very, very cool.
We were playing the legendary Agora Theater. Night Demon headlined the Agora Ballroom, which was a smaller room there, like a 600 capacity room, back in June of 2015. That was a very legendary show for Night Demon in Cleveland, at least. And it was nice to be back there playing the big room for the first time, a 2,000 cap room.
The Agora Theater was a place that is famous for the boys playing there before I was in the band, and a photo from there is the back cover of the Curse of the Damned record. That photo was shot there at the Agora. So it was cool for me to get to finally play this place that I have heard of over the years so many times being to Cleveland. I never got there. And I think that was one of a few very important shows for the band as far as solidifying their kind of popularity in that region, that city, and, you know, the Cleveland family. So it was good to be back there.
The stage was amazing. Concrete stage, very wide, a lot of room, killer backstage. We had a lot of friends coming to this, so we were really excited about it.
That night, because again it was the last show with just the two bands, the Blind Guardian boys played a bit of a prank. So during the Chalice, there was a big old stage invasion. So when the first chorus came up and Rocky came on, he was accompanied by, I don't know, about a dozen guys in cheap ass Halloween Rocky robes with just like kind of white face masks. I think they went to like a Halloween town or some kind of costume store and they grabbed whatever they could. And instead of chalices, they grabbed whatever random crap they could find. So there were like cartons of milk. There were, I remember, it's hard to tell because they all had masks on, right? But I've mentioned before that the band, Blind Guardian themselves, like they're all really into like their VR. So they all have these VR goggles that they, you know, when they have downtime, they always have these things on their faces. So Frederick, I think, who's the drummer, he comes out just waving his VR goggles around in the air, you know. Yeah, and just, it was so funny. Like, you could just see the Night Demon boys just like, what the fuck is happening? So yeah, it was great.
I'm the devil.
it was good that we had so many like Cleveland diehards in there, right? Because they all got it straight away. But, you know, there were a lot of like Blind Guardian fans who have never seen Night Demon, so it probably made zero sense to them. Like, what the fuck? You know, who are all these like weirdos? But yeah, it just made for a great memory, you know.
So it was cool playing in like almost kind of like one of our hometowns, you know what I mean? We got a lot of love that night, as you can imagine. The Cleveland fucking family was out in strong numbers, and they were loud, and they were just loving the set. I mean, they, of course, were all disappointed that we only played for 45 minutes. But at that, they got to see us playing, you know, in tip-top form, you know, playing all these shows in a row and being a nice, well-oiled machine that we are, especially on a tour like that. We definitely brought the heat, the heavy metal heat, to Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio! Are we feeling fucking good tonight? Have you been entertained so far tonight? We want to thank Blind Guardian and crew for bringing us out on this wonderful tour. And we also want to thank them for trying to prank us here at the last show of the tour, coming out as fucking Jabberwockies or whatever that was. It's all in good fun. Thank you guys so much. We've had a great tour. Thank you. Now for the rest of you, how we doing out there, Cleveland? We feeling good, right? Thank you so much. It's great to be fucking back here. Cleveland is a great second home for Night Demon. We remember playing back there, our first headlining show, back there in the Agora Ballroom. Anybody remember that? The place where you buy t-shirts now? That was us on stage back there. We got any metal listeners here tonight? Any WJCU metal listeners here tonight? We want to give special thanks to Bill Peters and our whole extended family here in Northern Ohio. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been fucking great. We'll see you next time from Ventura, California. Night Demon! Don't
Okay, Cleveland! You've been fucking great as always! We'll see you again real soon. Good night!
The show went off without a hitch. It was really good. The guys from Midnight came, and they'd seen us a bunch of times, but after the show, none of them said like, "Oh man, you guys were amazing." They're like, "The lighting was so good." So Laura got all the props on that for this show, and her lighting was stellar that night, and it is most every night, but she had gotten to a really good groove by this point. So that was a really nice show, and I got to hang out with Chris Zitterbarth, the owner of the venue. We had been friends for a while, and it's good to see that he's still there running that place. And went through a lot of renovations recently. A $2 million or so renovation. AEG had stepped in and helped him with that, and they kind of co-own the venue now. And it's just really nice vibe, a good way to officially end the tour.
After the show, just hanging out with the folks, all the fucking locals, and unfortunately we had to make a little bit of headway that night on the drive because it was a pretty far drive to get back to Milwaukee, and I know we had a pretty early load in, so unfortunately we couldn't have any after parties that night, even though it was kind of like the last night of the tour. We did what we could and hung out with the crew and the band. I remember we took a couple of group shots, group pictures together, group photos of everybody, and celebrated the success of this really, really amazing tour. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it, but something that we had no expectations of starting out, and it just totally surprised us night after night, and was just a big, big success.
So the following day, this was officially the last show of our tour. Blind Guardian was also on this show, but it was not the God Machine tour. May 17th, the Milwaukee Metalfest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee Metalfest. This was an interesting gig. Tons of bands, huge metal fest. I mean, the venue that they were holding the festival was called the Rave or the Eagles Club / Ballroom. I forget which name is kind of the main name of that place, but another sort of complex, which, I mean, there's got to be at least 5 venues, 4 or 5 rooms in this building. It's a huge, huge, really old kind of Art Deco building from the early 1900s. That was a sort of like it was like a men's club. There was like gyms in there. Like there was a big underground swimming pool. Social club. There's a huge ballroom on the top level, which is actually where we ended up playing, which was really, really cool. I had been to that place a couple of times in my earlier touring days. And man, let me tell you, that place has got some history and some creepy, creepy fucking places.
Yeah, so our set list was Outsider, Screams in the Night, Obsidian, Welcome to the Night, the Chalice, and Night Demon. Pretty short set, right? And the debut of Obsidian for this tour, so that was cool. But we just hung out for the rest of the day. The Blind Guardian guys said they wanted to see us in their dressing room, and they gave us these special Blind Guardian shirts that were kind of like this D&D take, but they're super rare, and any Blind Guardian fan would love to have them, but they only made a certain amount, and they wanted to give some to us, so that was really cool. And so that was the God Machine tour.
And yeah, it was just really sad to be saying goodbye to Blind Guardian after an amazing month or so. Yeah, lots of hugs and, smiles and say our goodbyes and say goodbye to what was just a really, really wonderful tour.
That was it, man. That was the last official show together. So we were going home after that. I think we were going back to Atlanta to bring the van back. I think, oh yeah, that's right. Brian played with Hell Witch as well. So yeah, the Hell Witch guys came out, and the deal we made with them was they were going to meet up with Brian, and they were going to drive our van back to Atlanta, where we started the tour, to return it there because Brian's car was also there, and the Hellwitch guys were going to go with them. And we flew back from Milwaukee. So that was nice. Because at that point, I definitely was not looking forward to any more long drives on this tour. I'd had enough at that point. But hey, such it is. Life on the road.
Well, that's it for this week and for this tour. 22 dates with Blind Guardian. And in the subscriber section, we have a ton of bonus content this week. We have the live audio. We have tons of other content. We have photo galleries from these shows, videos of the stage takeover with all the Rockies, venue images, group picture of both bands and the crews together. All of this in addition to the live audio from the past shows that we covered in this podcast, all on nightdemon.net. Until next time, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.